Hello everybody. Today we're going to be playing some cats, which is basically short for the Felinians. The Felinians are this tribe of humanoid cats. Essentially they were cats, and then they kind of saw humans and decided to adopt their weapons and everything. So that's the kind of background behind the Felinians. And they're a tribe that focuses on milling the top card of your deck, or revealing the top card of your deck. And if it is a Felinian, it goes to the graveyard, and you get a bonus. So, it's kind of an interesting mechanic, and it kind of is a little bit RNG based. But what's interesting about this type of RNG, or random number generator, so this type of randomness, is that you can actually kind of control it by deck building. If you build a deck that has more Felinian allies in it, you're more likely to get the effects. And that's what this deck is all about. We are running a lot of Felinians to maximize the chance that we get off those effects. Now, to catch up a little bit about what just happened here, essentially, I chose to play this Battlecub. Battlecub gains haste and an attack when you mill a Felinian, and actually, the reason I went with Battlecub over the Scout, I actually sacrificed the Felinian Scout, is, I'll talk about this more later, but I like Battlecub a lot as your turn 2 play, even more than Scout, even though Scout has stealth for until it attacks. I like Battlecub even better most of the time. And Wolf Shredder is really powerful against dragons and anything really that has claw attack, because it can get haste and it has ambush. So, and then a +1 attack when it attacks something with claw attack. So you can just deal 3 damage to something, and that's how we kind of got rid of that dragon there, basically. So here we're just doing stuff, and this is just lucky, honestly. We just mill the King Felix. King Felix says when it is sent to the grave by a Felinian effect, all your Felinian allies get 1 attack and 1 health. So we've kind of lucked our way into this extremely strong board that I think would be difficult for anyone to deal with. Although Baduru has a really nice way of dealing with it, which is the weapon of Emor's crossbow. Anyway, I chose not to play the Slithering Viper there because I want to make sure I have something to sacrifice. So that way I can play Anarchic Looting and get rid of the weapon there. So that was a really important play there to make sure I have something I'm willing to sacrifice, and I didn't think that it was that worth it to just play it just as a 2/3 stealth. I'm really glad I did that, because now I can summon King Felix here. Once you summon King Felix, and this is why we're running Lance. King Felix is awesome in Lance because it has 5 attack, which is insanely high. Much higher than basically any other 5-cost ally, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, I will have to check, but it's the highest attack ally you could get for a 5-coster. Maybe there's 1 or 2 other ones. But yeah, it's a very high attack, and it's got an effect, activated effect, that lets you search your deck for a Felinian and put it on top of the deck. So that's really nice in this combination. We search the King Felix, put it on top of the deck, then use Pride Mender just to boost everything else with the Felix ability. So you can, as you can see, if you can stick this Felix, you can really manipulate what you mill and basically remove all the RNG from the Felinians. So it's very, very good. Once you've got the Felix out, it's just a matter of time before you can really just control the game, and yeah. So that's that, and yeah, I'm just gonna do it again here. Just search for another Felinian, and now this is basically, I think the top end of Felinians is what makes the deck so strong. Felinian Champion going through Shroud, killing the I believe it's the lowest cost ally. If you mill a Felinian, is just very, very good. So I do want to show off this match now. This is against Nivea Mann. So if you follow the official organized chats, Nivea Mann often comes into the chat and says that people are net decking him and taking his decks, and I just think that's a normal part of the game. If you make a deck that's pretty good, then people are gonna net deck it, and they're gonna try and play it themselves. It's not something we can really avoid, and so yeah, that's what my response would be to that. he is running a pretty unique deck, I have to say. It's some sort of item destruction with Logan, and then this is a nice combo here. He's using Higher Ground with Prime Combatant. The Higher Ground is going to give the Prime Combatant an additional attack because it is a defender. And that's actually really tricky to deal with. That's why I didn't summon my Pride Mender. I was pretty confident that it would just get killed by the Prime Combatant, and I didn't want to risk that. So instead, I decided not to do that. I decided to play the 9 lives and try to basically use 9 lives to get some card advantage. That is one of the weaknesses of this deck, is card advantage, I would say. And then sadly the Pride Mender's effect did not trigger because we got unlucky and revealed the Anarchic Looting. So here, though, I go ahead and just summon King Felix. I'm going to use the Lance ability because with Stealth, that's actually pretty tough for Logan to deal with in most cases. And that lets us kill the Prime Combatant as well because Lance gives us Ambush, and that is going to get through the Defender. Now, I think one of the ways Logan sometimes gets around Stealth is going to be something like Scrap Cannoneer, but it's not enough. So now we've got the King Felix on board, and actually, interestingly, I choose not to use it immediately. I'm going to use it here because now I can stack the King Felix, and now I can summon the Pride Mender to trigger the King Felix. So a lot of the combos here revolve around stacking your deck with King Felix and then milling it, because that's just such a strong combination there, giving every ally you control 1 attack and 1 health. It's just very, very good. So your Nivea Mann uses the Gemstone Javelin. I think maybe he might have considered killing the Pride Mender and then using the Javelin on the Champion, but I think either way is fine. And then Anarchic Looting there is just going to get rid of all his items, which is a pretty big blow because I think he was trying to set up that Scrap Cannoneer for that nice Shadow energy bonus. So yeah, I think if he had gotten rid of the Pride Mender, the other allies I had didn't have as much health. But now that the Pride Mender is still alive, we can go here. And this is actually just a killer combo. King Felix into another King Felix, as we'll see here. And then we're just going to mill that King Felix with Wolf Shudder. And that's also going to have haste. So yeah, that is pretty aggressive there. Very strong play. So yeah, overall this deck is extremely aggressive. It's very strong in terms of just putting a lot of stats on the board, and you've got plenty of ways to get haste. So if your opponent starts to get low on health, they have to really worry. You have to be really careful against this deck to not get too low on health because you can easily start seeing your health dwindle fast. Now, some of the issues with this deck, well, I would say the main issue is really card draw. If you want to run a lot of Felinians, you can't really run draw engines as efficiently or as effectively. You also can't run tech as well, so I think any kind of tech is good against this deck, because this deck doesn't like to run tech that much. So I know I'm running the Anarchic Looting, and then the Heiress is something that some other builds will run, but it's kind of hard to fit it in the deck without impacting the ratio at which you're getting off your Felinian effects. So yeah, this is the deck list, and just a quick shout out to my guildmate Legolas, PT Legolas. He kind of built a very similar deck to this and just gave a lot of suggestions. So to round out the deck, we're running 4 Battlecub. Now, in my opinion, I actually like playing Battlecub on turn 2 more than I like playing Felinian Scout. And in most cases, unless I'm pretty sure the Battlecub will die, I'm going to play the Battlecub. Why is that? Well, Battlecub is one of the allies that can actually reveal the top card of your deck and discard it. And I think that's what this deck is all about, ultimately. It's all about revealing the top card of your deck and milling it. That sets up your 9 lives, because now you have Felinians in the graveyard. It gives it an attack and gives it haste, so just because it has haste, you're getting that 2 additional damage in, which is really nice. And sometimes you can get really lucky and mill something like a Felix, and that's just an incredible start because then you've just got like a 3-4 ally that, and, you know, just insanely strong for turn 2. Felinian Scout is very good though. Definitely a strong card because it can stack the deck. But what I found is you need to stack the deck from the graveyard, and so you need to get those effects off that can actually put Felinians in the graveyard before you can get the best use out of Scout. So that's why I actually don't feel like it's the best early game play, but it's still a really strong early game play because it has stealth. And so, especially if you're maybe going second or something, it's just that added production there that's kind of nice. Now, Pride Mender is actually, in my opinion, a decent card. It gets better as you have more and more Felinians out. But it's another one that I think is in here mostly because it's another Felinian name. We want to run as many Felinians as possible so that we can obviously get the Felinian name out and have a higher chance when we drop a Felinian of triggering the Felinian effects. But this one is not like the strongest one. It gives all your Felinians 1 health, which is quite nice. So the one I like to play on turn 3 more is Wolf Shredder. That's because Wolf Shredder actually gets haste as well. And again, we're an aggressive deck, so that does matter. Getting that haste and just hitting face if the opponent doesn't have any allies out is very good because you're just lowering your opponent's health, putting them closer in range that you can take them out. So I really like playing Wolf Shredder more than the Pride Mender. Wolf Shredder is very good. Ambush and haste, which makes it very, very strong. Next, we're running 2 Slithering Viper. Now, this is kind of a weird pick because it's not a Felinian, but the reason is that I think there's a lot of cards in the format right now that Slithering Viper is just very good at. Shroud, Slithering Viper can counter very well. Monk, Slithering Viper can counter quite well because you don't need to attack. So I really like Slithering Viper for those reasons. Lightning Bringer is one I don't know about. I just don't like drawing it. If I draw into Lightning Bringer, 9 times out of 10 I'm sacrificing it. It's nice to mill though, because when it's milled, an opposing ally takes 3 electric damage, so that can be some very good crowd control. But yeah, not a fan of drawing this card. So that's why I'm only running 3. I'm running 4 King Felix. I think you have to run 4 King Felix because this is the best card to mill off the top of the deck. And you need to be stacking it off the top of the deck. And a lot of times you're going to be using Felix to stack a Felix. So you can actually kind of run out of Felixes. And that can be an issue. So that's why running 4 is not a problem at all. It's also got some insane stats for a 5-cost ally. Let me actually check. I'm pretty sure it's the highest attack. Because, yeah, 5 attack is insane. Yeah, even Erica is only 4 attack. So, yeah, all of these are 3 attack, 3 attack. Yeah, this is the strongest 5, like, in terms of attack value, this is the strongest attack value 5-cost ally that has ever been printed. So, for humans. So, yeah, Shadow Knight for shadows. Okay, yeah. Brutal Minotaur is a 6, so, yeah. Well, okay. If it's humans, Felix is the strongest one. And that's what makes it so good in Lance, is that 5 attack that you can just haste, just very, very solid. Dissenter is just here for another Felinian name. I had never played it. Okay, so this is my tribute card. It's Mojorge, Obsidian Knight. We're running this just for some card draw. Honestly, I don't use it that much, but in the cases where it's good, it's quite good because you can refill your hand, and that's really, really nice. So, oh, it's also anti-location tech and also can get haste if you have 10 health. So it's kind of a nice desperation card for sure. Now, Champion is a pretty insane card, not gonna lie. This card says when it enters play, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's Felinian, the opposing ally with the lowest cost is killed. This is so good because it just bypasses so much stuff. You know, Monk, it bypasses that. It's like Slithering Viper but on steroids because it just outright kills it, and it's very, very strong. So, yeah, I love this card for cats, or for Felinians. It's probably the best card in the deck. I don't know. Felix is probably the best card in the deck. But this is just gives you so much power, too. So, and 4 attack is very respectable, so... next is 9 lives. I think this is a necessary card because otherwise Felinians kind of, well, here's the thing. Felinians kind of run out of steam potentially after a while because you just don't have other ways of generating card advantage very well. And so 9 lives, the nice thing about this is not only is it draw, but it's also a way to recycle cards. So it's got that recycling and that draw built into one. It's also draw that you know what you're going to be drawing. So for all those reasons, it's just such a solid draw card that I think it's worth running 4 of, even though this is going to interfere with your Felinian mills. Finally, to Anarchic Looting, this is an easy one because we're not running items, and so this is just a very strong card against item decks when you're not running items yourself. And that rounds out this Felinian deck list. Now, kind of like with the dragons, I'll just talk a little bit about the design, I guess. So, another card game I play is called Universus, and the system there is whenever you play a card, you mill the top card of the deck, and that tells you how it basically, it's called a check, and if you mill a foundation, then that lets you get more, it makes it easier to pass the check. It basically reduces, you could think of it as reducing the mana cost to cast something. You mill the top card of the deck, and it has a number. It's either 5 or 3 usually, and if it's 5, that gives you 5 mana to spend to cast that card. If it's 3, it gives you 3 mana to cast that card, and basically, the way the game works is as you are casting cards, the more cards you cast, the harder they are to cast, so you can't just cast your whole hand, but because the mana comes from the top of the deck, it just basically, it's just in a very interesting style. It gives it a push your luck kind of element, because if you cast a card and you mill a 3, well, maybe you have to end your turn there and discard the card you were trying to cast. So yeah, that's basically the system. I really like that system, and I was thinking about how I can translate it into Shadow Era, and that's where kind of the Felinians came from. In terms of the flavor, I didn't make any of the flavor. That's all Jonathan, who owns the game, made these, as far as I'm aware. But in terms of the design, I helped out kind of add this, reveal the top cover of your deck. If it's, Felinian, you get a bonus effect. If it's not, you don't get the bonus effect. I think this is a quite interesting mechanic because it affects the deck building. I think Felinians are kind of hard to deck build with because there are powerful cards you want to run. I mean, obviously, you want to run Monk, maybe. You want to run Vipers. You want to run Mojorge. You want to run Anarchic Looting and 9 lives. And you have to be really careful because the more you add in, well, that's going to make it harder for you to actually have successful activations of your cards. And similarly in Universus, if you run too many attacks because the attacks are really, really good, you're going to be lowering the chances that you can actually play cards on your turn because you have too many attacks. And so it's going to make it harder to play your cards. So a very cool mechanic that I really like, and I'm pretty happy with how it's implemented here. The Felinian playstyle is very neat. It's very combo-centric. You're kind of setting things up and kind of moving things from the top of your deck to your graveyard, and from your graveyard back to the top of the deck, and from the deck to the top of the deck, and just milling the top of the deck. And so there's a lot of combos here that are kind of fun, but also pretty fast to execute and not too difficult. So if you're looking for like a kind of fun combo deck, but not too complex and pretty interesting to play, check out this Felinian deck list. Let me know what you think about this deck in the comments below, and thanks for watching.